The Book of Giants, the first scroll, the corruption of all flesh, part 1 of 6. Deep within the caves of Qumran, where the Dead Sea Scrolls waited for 2,000 years, scholars found something truly disturbing: scattered fragments of a forbidden text known as the Book of Giants. This ancient Aramaic work comes from the same tradition as the Book of Enoch and gives us a terrifying glimpse into the world before the Great Flood. These pieces, reconstructed from manuscripts like 4Q530 and 4Q531, don't just tell us about giant warriors. They describe a deliberate and systematic corruption of creation itself. Let's begin with the first part of this dark tale, the defilement. It all started when the celestial beings, known as the Watchers, looked down from the heavens. They saw the daughters of men, and a pact was made. 200 of them descended, crossing a sacred boundary, and took human wives from these forbidden unions. A new race was born, the Giants, or Nephilim, beings of immense size and even greater appetite. But this was just the beginning. The scrolls state with chilling clarity: they defiled the earth. They begot giants and monsters. The world, once pure, became a laboratory for corruption. The ground itself cried out, soaked in the blood of the innocent, because the giants' strength came from their endless hunger. The text says, what they had already ruined did not satisfy them, and they kept seeking to devour many. This wasn't just consumption, it was a self-feeding cycle of destruction. It got so bad that their own monstrous offspring turned on each other. The earth was no longer a home. It was a battlefield being torn apart from the inside. This leads us to the second stage, the total spoil. Absolutely nothing in creation was left untouched. Another fragment gives us a cold, methodical inventory of their rebellion. It lists everything that the earth produced: the great fish in the seas, the sky with all that grew beneath it, the fruit of the earth, every kind of grain, all the trees, beasts, and reptiles, every creeping thing that moves on the ground. And then it describes what the Watchers and their children did with it all. It says, they watched, they used, they twisted. These words are precise and terrifying. To watch wasn't to admire, but to assess for exploitation. To use meant to drain and consume without giving anything back. And to twist meant to pervert the very nature and purpose of a living thing. This wasn't random violence. This was a systematic unraveling of the entire created order. The corruption spread into every action, every relationship. Scroll describes it as every harsh deed, every violent word against male and female, and among humankind. The world, which had been entrusted to humanity, became a twisted reflection of the rebellion that began in the heavens. Now we come to the most unsettling part of the story, the deliberate design. The fragments reveal this wasn't some cosmic accident or a crime of passion. It was a calculated, scientific project. The Watchers didn't just fall from grace. They conducted a horrifying experiment. One fragment reads, 200 angels descended. They seized 200 donkeys, 200 wild asses, 200 rams of the flock, 200 goats, 200 beasts of the field, from every animal, from every bird. All this they took from miscegenation. Notice the repetition of 200. It mirrors the number of Watchers in their original pact. This wasn't chaos. It was organized, enumerated sin. They came with a plan, and that plan was to mix everything, to blur every boundary established at creation. The key phrase is for miscegenation. This was intentional genetic alchemy. They weren't just mixing angel and human. They were splicing the DNA of animals and birds, creating a grotesque tapestry of hybrid life. The goal wasn't just to create giants. It was to remake the entire world in the image of their own transgression, filling it with unstable, monstrous hybrids. So, when we piece these ancient voices together, they paint a picture of a world undone from within. A world where forbidden knowledge was used as a weapon, where appetite became the only law, and where the corruption was so deep it couldn't be healed. It could only be washed away by a global flood. The giants themselves were both the terrible product of this rebellion and the living proof that the world had been pushed past its limits. It's a warning written on ancient parchment, buried in clay jars, and discovered in the dark of a cave, waiting for our own age. An age where we too are breaking boundaries and exploring genetic ambition. In the next part of this series, we'll finally meet these giants by name. We'll explore their prophetic dreams, which foretold their own terrifying doom. What boundaries do you see blurring in our world today? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to EarthsLostHistory.com so you won't miss the next fragment of this incredible story. Thanks for watching.